What up, what up, what up? It's your boy LQ, Real Deal Fantasy HQ. It's the Fantasy Heat Check with my boy Cody. What up, bro?
Oh, look, I tell you what, man, week one was everything that I had hoped and dreamed it would be. It was great to have some NFL football back on TV, some meaningful NFL football back on TV. I don't know about you. My teams sucked in week one. Brandon Ayuk, man, he killed me. We'll talk about it later in the show, but that was tough. But man, it was good. My Bengals got a dub. Your Rams got a dub.
Here we are. We're start. Happy. Good start.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, man. I mean, Stafford looked good. Burrow looked good. So our quarterbacks are out there killing it. Chase made a deep pass. My boy Van Jefferson made a deep pass for a touchdown. Hey, we're on the same boat today.
Bro, who'd have thought like Jamar Chase, who was pretty good at catching footballs in college, could figure out how to catch a football in the NFL. Like I know that was, pretty shocking that, nobody thought that he was, oh, wow, that's not going to translate.
No, I can't.
Overreaction, man. Those camp overreactions, they always get me. I got to love them, though.
Love it, man. So what we got today, man? Let's get into it. Let's get right to
it. First off, injuries, all right? Yep. The worst part about football, but we had a couple in week one that really had some fantasy impact. Ryan Fitzpatrick, it looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the year-ish. We'll see. But he's at least on the IR. So Taylor Heineke is getting the start tonight for Washington on a short week.
We already got him coming in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Go Chargers.
Okay, so my question for you is, I don't think anybody's really going to go out, especially in one quarterback leagues, to go out and grab Taylor Heineke. I like him. He's all right in two quarterback leagues. You can throw him in every now and again. He'll use his legs some. But does this impact how you view the rest of that Washington offense? Gibson, McLaurin, Logan Thomas.
I think they get a bump. Heineke is actually a serviceable quarterback, and he has rushing upside. So for my situation that I'm currently in some of my leagues, Superflex, obviously, I went out and drafted Kirk Cousins as my QB1 because I waited later. And I drafted Ryan Fitzpatrick and rolled the dice on Deshaun Watson. So guess what type of situation I'm in right now? I'm in a situation where I have to go get Heineke, and I'm hoping for that upside. I definitely think Logan Thomas gets a bump in targets because Heineke's low-key a gunslinger as well. So he'll be able to have the targets out there for Logan Thomas and obviously Terry McLaurin. So I definitely think all the upside is there for him. I'm not too crazy about him, like you said, in QB1 leagues. As a backup, I'm not a big fan of that. But Superflex leagues, if you're in a situation like I am, Heineke has to be the clear ad.
Yeah, and I mean, he could have some upside matchup depending. I don't think this week is a good matchup with New York being pretty sound defensively, to be honest. They got a pretty decent defense.
And it's a Thursday night game. Crazy things happen.
I know, new quarterback on a short week. Sheesh. But so speaking of injuries, for a guy who definitely is out for the season, Raheem Mostert, the guy can't stay healthy, which sucks because he is electric when he is on the field. Elijah Mitchell, unanimously, Javar, my man, I appreciate you. Elijah Mitchell, unanimously the number one waiver pickup across all fantasy platforms this week. How do we feel? In my league, we had a guy spend upwards of 80% of his fab on Elijah Mitchell. So
it's week one.
But you get him for the rest of the season. How do we feel about Elijah? Are you comfortable starting him this week anyway?
Absolutely.
Playing the Eagles.
Absolutely. I play him until I see otherwise, but I think we'll see otherwise very soon, sooner than we actually believe with Sermon coming back. I'm saying coming back, being that he was a healthy scratch. It's not like he's returning back from injury, but he's kind of in a situation where he has to be started. So Trenton Cannon was actually just signed the other day. They have all these guys that are in the backfield that are going to be able to have potential games where Hasty can have 19-plus touches. That's just how San Fran runs their running backs. I definitely think it'll be the hot hand situation. I'm really hoping we can see Trey Sermon be put on display and be able to have the opportunity to showcase his talent because I don't think he is as bad as everybody's saying he is. So this situation long-term for the rest of the season, I don't see Mitchell being the guy as Mostert can be the guy to carry the full workload to get majority of the touches. I just don't feel comfortable with them bringing in more running backs. They constantly just bring in running backs that they really don't need. So if you're going to ride Hasty, if you're going to ride Mitchell and Sermon, it's okay, Jeff Wilson comes back after week 8. What are you going to do when that happens?
Yeah, and I think a lot more than anything with that 49ers backfield, I think it's going to become a little bit more of a committee, right? Like they didn't anticipate having their starting guy go down. I think Sermon comes in, makes that not in week 1 anyway. I didn't, but I think Sermon comes in and they do run. Even if I think Elijah Mitchell can be fantasy relevant as a 1A.
Yeah.
If they split carries, like I'm still not super concerned. I think the value is there, especially this week against the Eagles. And then another injury looking ahead into week 2, OBJ missed last week. OBJ is missing this week in what would have been a favorable matchup against the Texans. For those of you who drafted OBJ, you knew this was a concern, right? Like you knew that he could miss some time going into the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Personally, I have OBJ in 1 league. I am hoping that he comes back 100%, right? I have no look, Cleveland, you don't need to rush him back to play against Houston.
No.
All right. If you can't beat Houston without OBJ, like, so we'll see how it goes. But OBJ out for week 2, and then Evan Ingram is out for week 2 again. Not that anybody should be rostering him at this point. But
nobody should be rostering him.
All right. So LQ, something I just added to the show sheet that I didn't have on there planned, but I wanted to. Is there anything that we learned from week 1 or reactions, overreactions? Something I wanted to hit on is Tyson Williams in the Ravens looked pretty good. They came out, the Ravens came out and said, I think it was Greg Roman, their offensive coordinator, came out and said that they're going to go more of a committee-ish look going forward with Latavius Murray, Tyson Williams, and now Devonta Freeman has been added to the active roster. So
nuts.
With that news, first off, you could drop Le'Veon Bell. If they're going to promote Freeman over Lev Bell, we already lost that battle, Chief.
He may be more in team shape, if anything, being that he's been on like 3 rosters in the last 3 months is how it feels. I definitely think Le'Veon Bell needs more time to get back into like some type of form where he can produce and show that, he's a value there for the team. But Freeman getting the first licks, it does have you side-eye, like, what? But I don't think he brings any type of relevancy any week. So it's like, don't go out there and get a Devonta Freeman. He's not worth picking up.
How do we feel about the Ravens backfield going forward?
Going forward, Murray didn't look good in the beginning, but he kind of cleaned up okay on the back end of it. So it's going to be a 1-2 punch between Williams and Murray, but I don't know if I feel comfortable putting Latavius Murray into a flex position. But Williams, I feel a little bit more better because he's playing with upside. He's playing with a chip on his shoulder. He's playing for a job. He's the undrafted guy that, is trying to make a name for himself right now. I don't think he even foreseen this opportunity coming to him as the RB1 or the 1A with JK downstairs, Gus Edwards, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, man, he's playing, with a statement. He's gonna be trying to make an impact as much as he can.
Yeah, and he's a guy that I think could have some value. I don't expect him to, be a workhorse guy, but I think Tyson Williams is going to be a guy who all year can be worthy of a flex spot, especially depending on matchups. LQ, you said it all offseason, right? Follow the volume. The Eagles looked pretty damn good offensively.
Yes, they
right?
did.
Like they look pretty solid offensively. Devonta Smith balled out, had that touchdown, nice over the shoulder early in that game. In the middle of that game. But how do we feel about Devonta Freeman? In my opinion, and I know they got Rigor a score, but that Falcons team stinks.
Yeah,
I think Devonta Smith is everything that he has been cracked up to be.
Yeah, everything has been advertised as he's a good football player, and I believe it. I mean, follow the volume here. I definitely think he's obviously the number 1 wide receiver target for Jalen Hurts, and I think Hurts is going to expose a lot of defenses, this year, thinking he's going to take off running when the dude can throw the ball as well. That was a nice dime that he threw to Smith in that end zone, and I think we're going to see a ton of that all season. And I think Smith and Hurts together are going to build a beautiful chemistry for the future for the Eagles.
Jalen Hurts looking like a QB1, man.
Yeah.
Looking like a QB1.
without the rushing upside. I'm talking as a pure thrower. Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, he looked damn good. Speaking of the week 1 reactions, my reaction to watching the 49ers game and seeing Deebo Samuel put up all them points and Brandon Ayuk get 0 catches.
This is the only victory lap I'm taking, by the way. This is the only week 1 overreaction. If we're going to keep it here with the overreaction, that's my overreaction because I said in March 23rd, to be honest, I got to remember Deebo over Ayuk on draft day. And by the time we got to August 20th, I say August 20th because I remember it like it was yesterday, Ayuk was going in the 5th round. That was insane to me. While I was scooping up Deebo as much as I can, max shares in the 8th, 9th round. That is nuts to me. It's nuts. It's crazy to me. But go on, Cody. That's the only victory lap I'm taking.
So as a Brandon Ayuk owner, right? I have him in a lot of leagues. Yeah. I was enamored by Ayuk last season. That was one pick last year that I really did get right. I was like, hey, look, I like Ayuk, and he ended up balling out last year. This year, not so much. We're starting out slow. He's running last in practice. How are we treating this going forward? Right? In my mind, you can't start him until he proves otherwise. You can't start him. I know you drafted him to start or drafted him to play in that flex. As of right now, you can't do it.
You cannot do it. You cannot start him for the simple fact what we saw yesterday with Shanahan saying he has to play better than the guy that's behind him. And great question by Desmond. Is he worth a flex option? I'm pumping the brakes on the flex option, but he's definitely on my radar to watch. I think he can definitely, Sherfield can have some big weeks, but I need to see more consistent. It's only 1 week. I'm not buying in solely right now, but Ayuk, there's some people that still believe. So you can literally shop him right now to get anything because you'll be surprised. You're seeing people holding on to him to only drop him in like week 5, 6 when he puts up donuts for the next couple of weeks, or if he puts up like 3 to 4 points, he's going to be on the waiver wire. So right now, while it's hot, while his name is still hot, and everybody's like, "Oh, don't worry, it's only week 1." Go out there and shop him and see what you can get because anything will be a steal.
Yeah, I'm absolutely not dropping him though. You spent too much draft capital at this point. If you do want to sell, I'm going to hold my shares. To be honest with you, I still believe in the talent. Right, the dude's still a first-round talent, still a stud. Yeah. I believe in the talent. I'm not going to sell him yet, but absolutely shop around and get some because there were other guys who underperformed in week 1, right? Like Aaron Jones and Zeke Elliott, and a lot of like those guys underperformed in week 1. So, make some offers, see what's out there, but
see who bites. That's what's
going
important.
forward, man. Deebo had 100 yards a yak. Like I understand that Lions secondary is not good, especially with their top corner out for the rest of the year now with a torn ACL. But Deebo looked good, man. Deebo looked really good.
Deebo always looks good when he's healthy. That's the thing. He's one of those guys that needs to be healthy and not destroying his body when he's healthy. Like he's one of those guys, like he's looking for contact. He's running full speed at the linebacker, and then next play he's hurt. Like, bro, stop doing that. It doesn't work for you.
I know. I love it, but I hate, like, you know what I mean? Like, I love it if your body could hold up, but
not Deebo. He needs to run out of balance every single play.
Well, all right, maybe not. Let's not go that far.
No, man, don't risk it. Run out of balance. I need you all season.
Fair enough. All right, I know. All right, so let's look ahead to week 2, right? Yeah. A lot of exciting games this week. We got Chiefs-Ravens, should be a good game. Your Rams are going to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. That should be a good game. But I like your Rams, right?
You should. Yeah.
So there are what should be a couple good games, should be a couple blowouts this week too. Texans going to Cleveland, Falcons going to Tampa Bay, and the Lions going to Green Bay. All of those double-digit lines from a sports betting perspective.
Are we sure about Detroit and Green Bay, though, after what we saw Aaron Rodgers put out there?
That's what I'm saying.
Are we sure?
That's what I'm saying. But
are we sure?
So there's a lot to be excited about from a fantasy standpoint. One of my bold predictions is it's kind of a meshing of a couple of things going on. But my bold prediction is that both Cowboys wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper, finish in the top 10 this week. And the reason I say that is they are playing a Chargers secondary that's it's solid. It's not elite, but it's pretty solid. Derwin James looked good. Derwin James looked good back in week 1. It's good to have him back on the field. But I think that is going to be a game that is going to be high scoring. Most Cowboys games are, because quite frankly, their defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. And with Michael Gallup being hurt, I think that target share very goes, hey, look, we're going to feed our 2 guys. We'll hit the tight end on a dump off every now and again and get Zeke the ball on a screen. But they're going to go with their 2 studs. I think both guys can eat. I think both guys can have top 10 fantasy finishes this week. I mean, I'm all in on Dallas.
Hey, I'm going to throw another bold prediction out there. Cedric Wilson will be the top waiver wire ad next week. He's going to be one of those waiver wires where everybody's going to be like, holy hell, who is this guy? Cedric Wilson, somebody I have on the radar now that Gallup is on IR. So I definitely think he might show up and show out. He's playing with a chip on his shoulder as well. He wants that 3rd wide receiver spot. That would be
so. I don't hate right. Like if somebody's going to step up, Cedric Wilson looked good in the preseason. So he's got that number 1, 2. That's clean. Like on the jersey.
Yeah, that's
a fast number.
That's a fast number. That's a fast number. I like that one.
All right, LQ, you got so that's your bold prediction. I'm gonna go with another one. I'm thinking Aaron Jones bounces back this week. That's Aaron Jones bounces back. Look, Elijah Mitchell went for 105 and a tutter on that Lions defense. Aaron Jones is a better running back than Elijah Mitchell. I think the Lions are going to go, or the Packers are going to go into that game pissed off. I think Aaron Jones has multiple touchdowns
in their home.
And we're saying, oh yeah, that's why we drafted this guy in the first round.
Exactly. I'm not panicking just yet on Aaron Jones. I feel as though that whole offense was just out of sync. Nobody was on. I mean, we saw Devonta Adams struggle with catching the ball. Aaron Rodgers just being complete dog shit, which I believe in my heart, I believe he was doing it on purpose. I don't care what anybody says. He was out there doing that stuff on purpose.
Spite.
But, they're home, and the Lions, he's going to pick them apart. It's a division game. I mean, come on now. What are we really talking about? I think Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Jones and Devonta Adams will be back firing on all cylinders. Throw me some Robert Tonyan this week as well. I think he's going to find the end zone as well. This Detroit Lions defense is not good whatsoever. So, bounce back season for all of them.
Yeah, and I think I'm not selling on the Packers at all. I am not selling on the Packers at all. It was relax. You remember that press conference? God, I gotta love it.
It's just one game,
right?
Like I started 0-1 in most of my leagues. It's just one game. It doesn't make a break. It's ugly to look at, but it's just
that is true.
Game.
That is true. All right. I'm gonna go on to the gambling side of things here a little bit, and because fantasy and gambling go well hand in hand together, right? Something I like for tonight's game. So for those of you watching this now, you can go and place your bets if you're in a state that lets you do that. Which shout out New Jersey and Indiana. Let's go.
All right, let's go.
But I'm taking Taylor Heineke over 22.5 rushing yards. Ooh. The dude had like 40 against the Bucs defense in the playoffs. I think he scrambles around, makes some shit happen. I'm not super that Giants defense is good, but like 22.5 is not like that's 3 solid rushes and he's there. So I think that's one of the better bets for tonight. LQ, what you got anything gambling wise?
I'm with you on the Heineke. Those rushing yards look very juicy. I think he can easily do that. That's like 2 to 3 plays out of him, and he's already at that 22-yard mark. So that's definitely one of the juicy ones I have tonight. I spoke to you a little bit about the Daniel Jones rushing upside as well, but I'm not too sure if he can hold on to the ball long enough. I mean, how many times we're going to see this dude fumble the ball when he's out making runs? Like he's running for 12 yards and then fumble, and it's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, this is not giving you opportunity to stay on the field to get more rushing yards. Like, we're making this big case for him. Back-to-back years, he's a top 10 rusher, and it's like, okay, he could be even further. He could be a top 5 if he held onto the ball to extend the drives. Staying on the field and that time of possession is very important. But if you're giving the ball away every single time, what is it like? It was a crazy ass stat. They said it was like his 28th start, but his 40th turnover. That is nuts.
He has more turnovers than starts. It's
pretty
crazy.
Like, it's a problem. It's a huge problem.
All right, I have a hilarious prop bet for you. All right,
let's hear it.
The Washington team defense is plus 350 to score a touchdown at any point in the game.
Oh, smash!
That is ahead of
smash.
He has better odds to score a touchdown than Jarrett Patterson, Daniel Jones, like J.D. McKissick. Like that's pretty wild. It's the same odds. The Washington team defense has the same odds to score a touchdown as De'Ami Brown, Darius Slayton, Adam Humphries, and Kyle Rudolph. That's like those offensive players.
Interception, fumble, safety, all that.
So I don't know if I'm going to bet it, but it's pretty wild that those odds are that close.
That's nuts.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, but there are a lot of games that I do like this week from a gambling standpoint. And I like, so when I look at fantasy and gambling together, I like to figure out, okay, where are these over unders at, right? Total points. As fantasy players, we want to board. So one of my overs this week that I'm really locked into is Lions Packers. I know I talked about the Packers having a bounce back, but that Packers defense couldn't stop a nosebleed and let up 5 touchdowns to Jameis Winston too. Mm-hmm. So give me all the DeAndre Swift. Give me all of I'm not starting Jamal Williams this week unless, you got a deeper league or maybe you had a running back get injured or something. But I think those Lions running backs are still going to be able to eat. And then speaking of games with overs, the second highest, so the highest total of the week, Cowboys Chargers. Talked about that. I think the Chargers wide receivers eat. Who's stopping Keenan Allen on that Cowboys defense? Right,
the volume's always going to be there for Keenan Allen. Like that's a no brainer. Like it's like ridiculous how many targets he's going to see this game. So that's a full set. And
as a sort of I'm not sure if you guys are streaming tight ends or if somebody waited on a tight end or whatever. But Jared Cook, I think he has a pretty solid chance to score in that game, considering the Cowboys let up 2 touchdowns to Rob.
I like what I saw from Jared Cook. I quietly been telling people, get you some Cook. Get you some Cook. So for him to be that age, he's like 33, 34. He's up there in age, and he's still able to get separation to be able to break. Like he's basically a center, a big body guy that's going to be able to get the ball at anywhere you put it. But so Chris, we got a great question that's in the comments right now. Shout out to Chris. Make sure you subscribe and like to the channel, man. But is it possible DJ will have negative rushing yards trying to run away from the lethal Washington front? Maybe. Maybe.
Okay, so I've Googled this up because LQ and I actually talked about that before the show started. And I looked this up. Sacks don't count as negative rushing yards against the quarterback in the NFL.
It's great.
They do in college, but not in the NFL. So I'm actually not super concerned about that Washington defense, getting to, they're going to get to Daniel Jones. Like, that's just a matter of fact that they're going to get to him.
We know who's on the defense, like Chase Young.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about negative rushing yards. I think that he'll end up positive. I'm not sure if he'll hit his total. I think he finishes right.
I'm not sure with the 22,
mark, but
I don't think he'll be on the field long enough. Like we said before, like he's bound to have 2 fumbles this game, and that's like the floor, which is insane.
That's the floor.
Yeah, that's like insane.
Yeah. So I like it. I like the prop, but I'm not going to hammer it. I'm not starting Daniel Jones.
I'm staying away. I'm staying away from anything
for sure.
Prop betting for Daniel Jones. Matter of fact, the Giants in general, I'm not too big of a fan of them having all these turnovers with that guy at quarterback.
Yep. And then one more total I like this week, and not necessarily a homer pick, but Bengals Bears 45.5 is the total. The Bears let up the most passing yards in the league last week was had by Kirk Cousins against this Bengals defense. So you can absolutely pass on the Bengals defense And I think Allen Robinson has a significantly better matchup this week than he did against Jalen Ramsey in that Rams defense last week. So
especially if we see Fields at some point. Just saying.
Right. So I have one of my good friends that I do a podcast with, Malik Wright, very tapped into that Bengals organization. Give him a follow if you are so inclined. But his prediction for this Bengals game is that Justin Fields gets playing time because the Bengals are ahead by so much that they're like, screw it, why not put in Justin Fields? And then Fields ends up starting week 3. That's his prediction. Now,
I don't think hold up. My prediction is second quarter he gets in because Matt Nagy cannot start the season off 0-2 with the Lamborghini sitting on the sideline and you're playing the Kia Soul. Like, do you honestly want to go into week 3 0-2? Like, think about it. Think about it, man. You have Justin Fields. Like, I don't care if he's not 100% ready. He knows the playbook. He can make the plays on the ground, et cetera, et cetera. You put him in now, man. You don't want to start 0-2 and then go into week 3. Possibly 0-3, leaving that going to 0-4 with freaking Andy Dalton, bro. Like, stop. Just stop.
Andy Dalton as the Kia Soul of quarterbacks might be the single best thing that I have ever heard. I love that. Oh, man. But I'm starting all of my – first off, Joe Mixon leading the league in rushing after week 1. Joe Mixon haters, where you at? Where you at? But – not that I'm gonna sit here and rub that in because we can't victory lap in week 1, right? But
I'm gonna wait until week 6 for all my victory laps for the simple fact Joe Mixon, he has his issues, but let's just hope it stays this way. The volume, 33 touches is crazy. Yep. That is workload ability.
Yep. So I'm starting all of my Bengals this week. Mm-hmm. I'm Boyd, Higgins, Chase, start them all, as well as Mixon. Yep. I like Burrow. I don't love Burrow. I think part of that offense did get a little conservative at times. So Damien. So that's something that I do think we need to talk about. And
get into the mailbag. Actually, these questions are trying to flow in.
Yeah, so we'll transition to the mailbag, and we'll go with this one. Dave Kluge actually had a really good tweet about his Montgomery snap percentage. Now, he had some elite snap percentages, 70, 80% at the end of last season during his dominant run when he was like a top 5 running back.
Yep.
He played like roughly 68, I think, % of the snaps in week 1. Damien Williams absolutely is going to eat into that snap share. That's fine. I'm not worried about Montgomery. It's just something that you need to understand when you go in week to week. Also, Damien Williams, a great value handcuff. Well, if Montgomery were to go down, or like Williams is a running back that should be owned in a lot of leagues because he's shown. I mean, the dude balled out in the Super Bowl, so absolutely should own it.
Yeah, it's Super Bowl MVP that was robbed for the MVP, but I definitely think he doesn't play the role as Cohen, but he has his role, already set in stone for him because we saw that he was trying to make the best out of his opportunities as well. And like we said, usage, the snap percentage is very important to follow. I mean, the more percentage, the more they're going to be on the field for those opportunities to score, to see touches out of the backfield, et cetera, et cetera. So Williams should be on a lot of people watch lists. I'm not saying add him off the waivers today, but he's definitely a guy I have on my watch list. And for people that don't use their watch list, I find myself using the watch list for the last 3 years, and it's something great just to have a list of guys. You don't need to run to waivers and search their name or go through positions. You have your watch list right there. You hit that add button, boom. You're not trying to run around and try to figure out where guys are at. So watch list is definitely something, I've been using, and hopefully you guys have been using too.
Yep, absolutely. And that's a little fantasy strategy from your boy LQ. But
watch lists.
So going to the mailbag, we already talked about Ayuk, so I'm gonna skip over that one. We are looking. Ayuk is worth shopping around.
Shop him right now.
Okay, so because we were just talking about that Bengals game, Joe Burrow, are you willing to start him? You are.
Yes. I'm starting him regardless. I believe in him as a QB1. I definitely feel as though what we saw with Chase was just a small preview of what's yet to come. I think it's going to get higher. The temperature is going to rise, and Burrow's going to be one of the hottest guys on the street that you want parts of.
Absolutely. Dude, as a Bengals fan, it's just talking good about my Bengals. I love it.
Doesn't it feel good?
Oh, it does. It does. All right. So next one for you, LQ. All right, because I feel like I know your answer on this.
Mm-hmm.
Mike on Twitter asks, are we going Robbie Anderson or Elijah Mitchell in the flex?
Obviously, you got to go Mitchell. He's the hottest thing out there. It's unfortunate that, people are spending 80% of their fab for him, but we already had our talk about that, our concerns with all that on the sense of things. But I'm going Mitchell until I see otherwise. I definitely think the volume's there for him, and we all love San Fran running backs, all have home run ability. That offense, that system just works for San Fran running back, so he's liable to see the end zone.
And not to overreact, but Terrace Marshall Jr. saw 3 more targets than Robbie Anderson in week 1. So just something to file away in a little tickler file. So, all right. Tonight's game, I've seen this asked or mentioned literally all over fantasy Twitter.
Which is nuts, honestly.
Are we starting Saquon tonight, or are we willing to sit him?
Let me paint this picture. If you just grab Mitchell off of waivers and you have a Saquon Barkley, I'm throwing Mitchell into the flex, and I'm still starting Saquon, to be honest, because he has that home run ability. Like, I'm not understanding why people are sitting Saquon, because we already knew he was going to be discounted going into this, season. We already knew he's going to be on the short leash. 3 weeks, they're saying they're going to ease him in. He had 10 touches, but he's still a freak athlete. It only takes 1 touch for him to take it to the house. And for him to have that still locked and loaded in him, of course, I'm starting Saquon Barkley. I can't see myself, sitting him for when he only needs 1 touch to just take it all the way. So he's definitely a start. I definitely don't see the people, I feel like people are overreacting again. You know what I mean? Like, this, we already knew this. This isn't something new. This isn't new information.
Yeah. Personally, to me, I think it comes down to knowing your roster a little bit.
Yeah.
If you have, so I went very running back heavy in drafts. There are drafts where I have Aaron Jones, Antonio Gibson, and DeAndre Swift in a league. Like, if I were to say you replace Aaron Jones with Saquon Barkley, right? If I were to have Saquon, Antonio Gibson, and DeAndre Swift, I think I could justify benching Saquon depending on who I got in my flex. So know your roster, right? Like, you're not going to go out here and start Ronald Jones over Saquon Barkley. Like, don't do nothing like that. Start Saquon if he's your guy. But, there is some flexibility with that.
He's a freak athlete. End of discussion. Yeah. It's crazy. People are nuts, man.
Super freaky. He's super freaky.
When he scores, that's what song I'm going to play.
Dude, it's a good song. It's a good tune.
TikTok on the way.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Follow my boy at Real Deal Fantasy on TikTok for those of you so inclined.
Please don't. Please don't follow me there.
It's incredible content. I think I'm going to start making kind of a tangent, but my wife is like, you should make TikToks about your sports stuff. So I've had her like combing through TikTok and just picking out ideas of like, you should remake this. And then so she might be my social media manager for TikTok.
There you go.
She watches a hell of a lot more of that shit than I do. Gotta love it.
Oh,
all right, we got 2 questions, both involving the same quarterback. So I'm going to phrase this question a little differently than how it's written, but shout out Liam and Tristan for both asking about Jalen Hurts here. So they have Josh Allen, Tom Brady, and Jalen Hurts.
Whew.
If you had to start one this week, actually just rank them for me. Rank them for me this week. How would you feel? Josh Allen against Miami, Jalen Hurts against San Francisco, Tom Brady against the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, God. It will have to be Brady, Allen, Hurts, but I want to say Allen over Brady because I think he has a bounce back week. I think it's a division game. He always plays like a great game, but I would have to go with the GOAT against a very terrible Atlanta team, I should say. They could run it up as easy as we've seen them run it up on Dallas's defense as well. So you got to go with Brady on this one.
So I'm going, and this is exactly the opposite of how I ranked them. And shout out Kevin. This is the exact opposite of how I have them ranked season long. But for this week, I am going Brady, Hurts, Allen.
Oh,
right. Here's why. Brady, that Falcons defense stunk. Jalen Hurts put up 30 on him last week. I think Brady can put up 30 on him this week.
Easy.
Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff put up 30 points on that 49ers team last week. Now, that was fluke and garbage time, and it is what it is. That defense is better than what they showed.
Yeah.
That being said, Jalen Hurts still very, very solid. And it's close. It's close between him and Josh Allen. I'm starting
it really is.
Week, but it's close. The reason that I'm not starting Josh Allen, the Bills-Dolphins games were close last year. They play in Miami, so it's on the road after a tough game against the Steelers. While I do think the Bills win, I think this is a grinded-out game. The total is pretty low for this one. I think it's in the low 40s. Not that I'm down on – like, if you have Josh Allen on like 90% of rosters, you're starting him. I know I'm starting him in that that I have him. This guy has a great problem to have, Liam, a phenomenal problem to have where he has to pick between Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. I'll start Jalen Hurts, but that would be how I have him ranked this week. It is Brady, Hurts, Allen. Either way, you should feel comfortable starting those three, though. Those are all good options to start. Ooh, check that Miami weather too.
That's a great problem to have, honestly, for your roster. I mean, shout out to you for amazing drafting and moving some pieces around to make that happen at quarterback. Jesus.
He must have been following our offseason stuff. It is what it is.
Of course.
Bro, he must be following Real Deal Fantasy on Twitter and Instagram and Smash Hit Sports on Twitter and Instagram. I mean,
Kevin, we don't say this. We don't say this.
Avoid the heat. No, we bring the heat, bro.
We bring in the heat.
But I think the heat is something that like people do kind of take into consideration in week one games, like cramping and stuff like that. But I'm not. These guys, we're into the season. I'm not worried about it. It is what it is. Like I would be much more worried about like wind than heat. But we'll see.
Send it.
Yeah, I am. I'm ready for week 2, man. I'm ready for week 2. Starts
got it in
tonight.
a couple hours where it kicks off. Great game tonight.
Total points set at 40, which is like a high school football game.
Thursday night games are always lit up. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be well over that. It's going to be well over that.
Saying over the total, huh?
Oh, yes, it is. 100%. Thursday night games and London games are the games that end up like 54 to like 50, shootouts.
All right. Okay. We'll see.
We'll see.
But I'm incredibly excited for, that game in this week. And as you guys have more fantasy questions as we go into the weekend, tweet at us.
Tweet at us.
We will answer as many as we possibly can. Why? Because I am a degenerate and I have no life and I spend all of it on Twitter. So shoot us your questions this week. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are getting close to 1,000.
We are right there.
We're starting closer every week, man. I'm super excited for it. So as we start winning your fantasy matchups or helping you win your fantasy matchups, be sure to give us a shout. It's greatly appreciated. With that being said, LQ, take us out of here.
We are out of here. You guys can follow us on Twitter. Of course, like I said, hit that like and subscribe and share the video. Please leave your mailbags. Even after this is off air, leave your mailbags in the comments and we'll get to them, throughout the week or the next day, whatever. We'll help you guys out. We'll try to respond as quick as we can. So we are out of here. So we'll see you guys next week for another great episode of the Fantasy Heat Check.
Peace.